Hello, this is Lynn, David, Livsey, and who am I with today?
Lisa.
Lisa, Lynn and Lisa. And this is Knowledge from Beyond. We're pre-recording this show during the daytime because we're both doing shelter in place. I live in one county, she lives in another county, but we're supposed to be under quarantine, from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning. You're not supposed to be moving around. So we are stuck at night, and it's hard to do the show. So what we're doing is pre-recording the show during the daytime, and then we can play it back at night. So we're just going to pretend like it's dark outside. But we are here, and we're going to do the show. And I don't know how long this lockdown is going to be, but, Trump says it's going to last for another month. So, but I believe we'll be going over that, but I think it's going to be a lot longer than that, but we're going to see what happens. But today we have a good topic. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about understanding our new reality.
Yes, the new reality of what is going on, because what we're going through now is something that's going to change us forever. Yeah. We'll all be able to talk about what life was like before the virus came along. And as I talked about on a previous podcast, some people say I scared them when I talked about all the dominoes got knocked over, that the world as we know it was going to end, and there's going to be a different world. Things are going to be a lot different whenever this ends. So let's get started now, and I hope you enjoy this podcast. But I'm Lynn David Livsey, your full spectrum Gnostic, and Lisa's here to help me, and she's the co-host, and we're going to do the best we can. But let's go ahead and get started. So what is going on right now is that we have this virus that started in, as we all know, this thing started in China. And, we can't be blaming the Chinese because this is a bat disease. Now, maybe if they wasn't eating those bats, it wouldn't have got started, but we're not going there. People got to eat anything, whatever they eat. I don't eat bat, but some people do, and it was a bad bat. But anyway, this thing got released, and this has changed the world. A lot of people didn't take this seriously for a very long time. They thought it was a joke, and people were saying this is being overblown. But I knew this was going to be a big deal a long time ago, because you don't go by what people say. You go by what they do. And when they start shutting entire countries down and whatever, I knew the shit had hit the fan, because people just don't shut down entire corporations, entire countries, if it's not serious. Okay. And the last time America was shut down like this was the Great Depression. And they're not doing all of this for the New World Order, this and that, for the, this is not fake. They're really scared shitless. And this is why countries all over the world now is shutting down and telling all their citizens to stay inside. Because they believe that if they don't do this, tens of thousands of people are going to die, and millions could get infected. And this is what they do not want to happen. They do not want a repeat of what happened in 1918. The Spanish flu, for those who don't know, killed more people than World War I killed. And the Spanish flu went around the world 3 times. They don't want to play that little game this time. So they're going to try to nip this in the butt. And they're trying to stop this from doing what the Spanish flu did. But in doing this, this is going to change the world, just like World War I, World War II did, because they're knocking all the dominoes over. I've been out of work for 2 weeks. I'll probably be out of work for at least another month. I haven't even had a vacation in several years, and I was complaining that I wanted a few days off to have vacation. Now I'm off for 2 weeks, and I might be off another month, and I'm biting my nails, okay? But I'm still alive. I'm still surviving. I'm not living in the street as of yet, but who knows what's going to happen. But we're going to make it through this. So I am not here to scare the hell out of you. I'm not trying to say this is coming, the world is coming to an end. I'm not saying again that Jesus is returning. He is coming when he's ready. But he's not here yet. We have to deal with what's going on now. So why are things going to change? Because Lynn David Livsey, the world, probably Lisa too, was on something called autopilot. We was doing our thing. We was doing what we've always done. We was just going the way the world was going the way it have always done. We got used to doing things a certain way, and then everything got knocked over. And a lot of things was going on that, you know, when things are an automatic pilot, a lot of things are going on that maybe doesn't make sense anymore. And the reason it was continuing that way is because it's been that way for a long time. And examples of this was, if you think back a year ago, when you went to Walmart or any department store, grocery store, they had 30 checkout lines, and 25 of them was closed. Mm-hmm. You went to the bank, they had 12 teller lines. 9 or 10 of them was closed because the bank was built on the old system. Mm-hmm. And the old system was they needed a lot of teller windows, or they needed a lot of checkout lines, because it took a lot of people to check people out. Then the technology changed, and that's the reason why they was able to run the store with only a few checkout lines, where they're able to run the bank with only a few teller windows open. Because they were still operating on the old system, even though the system had changed. And we got used to this blending of the new and the old. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things we was doing was already obsolete, like going to the shopping malls and things like that. They was, a lot of the big stores was going out of business over the last few years anyway, because they was complaining that they couldn't they couldn't compete with Amazon and the other places. Right. But they were still under the old system. Now that all the dominoes been knocked over and they closed all the malls, what we're going to quickly find out when things try to reopen a month or 2 or 3 months or whatever it takes, when they try to reopen, they're not going to go back to the old way. Because a lot of these businesses was on the verge of bankruptcy anyway. Yeah. On the internet today, Macy's, for example, are saying that they're running out of money and they're laying off 100,000 people, and they're saying that they only have a few, a little bit of cash left, and they are talking about how their business even before this was doing very bad. Mm-hmm. This is why Sears went under. This is why JCPenney went under. There's countless stores that was in that predicament, but they was able to just survive until the dominoes got knocked over. Okay.
So how in the world are they going to survive now?
Right. And how are they going to, and to reopen a mall, especially, that's the reason they're, to keep 100,000 people on the payroll. Mm-hmm. And, when you go dress shopping, you want to see the latest and the greatest. If they stay closed for 3 months and reopen, they're going to show you the dresses of 3 months, that was ordered 6 months ago, and those dresses that have been hanging on the rack when they close. They can't put out the new merchandise until you buy the old merchandise. Right? Yeah. And they have already tried to return all of their shipments that was coming, or block them because they don't have the money to pay for them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot of retail establishments are going to fold. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is not only retail. It also goes, especially for restaurants. Mm-hmm. Restaurants have something called food that have an expiration date. And when you go to restaurants, you don't want steaks that was, we put this in the freezer 3 months ago when we got shut down, and we're going to take it out the freezer. No, that ain't. Okay. See, so the restaurant basically has to reorder all new food, and it's just like if they're going to go back to their old restaurant, they're going to have to redo everything. If you was a restaurant owner and you was marginal and not doing very well anyway, are you going to go through all that expense? So they estimate around anywhere from 30 to 50%, especially a mom and pop restaurants, and they're not They don't have the money to restart.
They're probably done.
They're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just so sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
And with me being a small business owner myself, now that they have shut my business down and I have canceled all my orders and I'm sitting on merchandise, can I afford to sit on my merchandise for several months and then trying to restart my business? See, I was selling and I was selling my merchandise and buying new merchandise, and it was going back and forth. Now that my business have come to a complete stop, when I go to restart my business, I don't have the money to go out and buy and put in some giant orders and do that. I've been out of work. I'm out of work. And if I'm out of work for another month or 2 or 3 or 4, I might try to sell to liquidate the merchandise I have, but I don't have the money to go and do a big reinvestment to restart my business. I don't have the cash. Okay. And this is going to change everything, but this is not bad news for everyone. Some places like Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, the big chain stores are taking advantage of this situation because they didn't like all us little people anyway taking a piece of their pie. So while the little businesses like TJ Maxx and Dress Barn and all those places are shut down, Target and these other big mega stores that sell food, they are taking over.
Yeah.
Okay. And Walmart and Amazon and all these other places, they're going to double in size at the expense of us. But this is how Walmart became Walmart in the first place. If you remember back, when Walmart first appeared, they took out most of the old downtown section that most cities used to have. Everything collapsed because Walmart sold everything and most little stores could not compete. And the stores that did survive, they're now going to take them out. So in this new reality that we're going to face after this, you're only going to have the big mega stores left. You're still going to have the Walmarts and you're still going to have the, the big giant mega stores. But a lot of your medium and smaller places are going to be gone. Okay. And the share of Amazon and the share of these other things are going up dramatically. So some people are going to say this is great. We'll be able to order everything online. We'll be able to buy dresses online. And for newer, younger people, they like this.
And that's going to be our new reality.
Yes, but I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah,
and maybe,
so am I.
Okay, see, we're from the days
we're
where...
Old school.
We're old school. We want to go to that fitting room and try on 6 different dresses, and I try this on and whatever, and you buy one. Okay, you understand. Okay, online you don't do that.
And I don't want to order something and then it come to my house, doesn't fit, then you have to send it back.
Right. And that was the joy of shopping, going and trying things on and this and that. But young people, they didn't like any of that anyway. It was too much work and too much this and see, so a lot of this stuff, think about all this waste we had. You used to go to places like Dillard's or Macy's, and they had those cosmetic counters, and you could go through and try on all the makeup, and they would do and try on all the perfume. Sometimes you actually bought something. A lot of times, you just had a great time. Okay, that is gone forever.
Yeah.
That is gone.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to order all that online and by name, and you get what I'm saying, don't you? Okay.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to go to those stores anymore and do that because of this virus too.
Because it was not economical in the first place. That's why they were selling the cologne so expensive, because they had to have that big counter and they gave out so many samples. That's why they had to sell it so expensive. Now, if they can get rid of all those counters and all the samples and you just order it, their profit margin is going to dramatically increase, right? And if you're still willing to pay $50 for that cologne, and now we don't have to do samples, and now we don't have to do this, and you're just going to order it? Instead of them making, they're only spending $5 to make it in the first place, and they were selling it for $50. And now they can make it for $5, and they get to keep all that money. They don't have to do all that extra work, right? Yeah. It's totally different. So, let's talk about,
the world is turning.
The world is turning. This is the new direction. And this is going to affect not only shopping, it's going to affect a lot of things like the world of dating. Okay. I used to go and listen to music and have a beer and, and sometimes, there's a lot of single people. I'm one of them. You go out sometimes and you meet somebody and you talk to them. Now they have drummed in our heads for the last several weeks that right now she's sitting kind of close right now. She's not keeping her proper distance. If she was to sneeze right now, I could fall over. Okay. This is the world that our kids are going through right now. A lot of people have lost their trust. Before, I'm a businessman. I was always shaking people's hands all the time. You try to shake somebody's hand today, it's like pulling a gun on them or something. And when this is over, we're just supposed to go back to shaking hands again and hugging and kissing and everything. Okay. And you think hugging and kissing is kind of bad because you could catch some disease. Some people was doing a lot more than hugging and kissing. We're not going to say what that was, but how are you going to go back to those days? Now that you're afraid of everyone, now that everyone has to keep 6 feet away from you, and people today, when you talk to them, like, no, I can't meet anybody in person. I can't let anyone in my house. How you gonna date? How you gonna go be if you can't even sit 6 feet? If that girl has to sit 6 feet away from you, how are you going to get her in bed?
How are you going to meet her? Hey.
Okay.
How are you going to meet her?
Okay. How are you going? Okay. She said it.
How are you going to meet her?
Okay.
How are you going to talk to her first?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we're just going to do all internet dating from now on. I guess everything. What happened to the days of people going to school and the kids all played together and they're, now the kids are going to go to school thinking that, hey, that other kid's desk is too close to mine. And we're supposed to go outside at lunchtime and play with each other. Okay. Just the thought of that now, just think about it. Okay. And even today, playing with other kids was never safe anyway. This is why your kids was always coming home sick and got pink eye and this and that. Because those kids was never safe for being around anyway. They had diseases, they had colds, right? And now that you've been convinced that, how we're supposed to go back to letting your kids say, Mommy, I'm going to go out and play. Yeah, you ain't going nowhere. Okay. See, this is the problem. I was talking a few weeks ago about oneness and how we have to go back to being one. The problem is they have split us into where I was saying we have went from 1 to 2 to 4 to, they kept splitting us. Today. We already had, because of cell phones and everything else, most people was lacking basic communication skills. A lot of people didn't feel comfortable being in groups anymore. People liked it being at home, only around their certain friends and family, only being around certain groups. And now this is going to make this 10 times worse. Okay. How we're going to go back to that office building again, or that factory plant where we used to be in that office and there was, everything have to be 6 feet away, everything that, and even when this is over, if a person cough, just because you cough doesn't mean you got, this is what the big joke is on a lot of these things like TikTok. Just because you cough doesn't mean you got the coronavirus. I've been coughing for 50 years, okay? Sometimes I sneeze, sometimes I this and that. I'm still here. Today, if a person sneeze, everybody want to take them out and lynch them. Okay, right? What are we going to do? Okay. So, these are some things. Can you think of some examples of how things are changing? Like your interaction with your neighbors and your friends. Are you still feel comfortable inviting people over to your house or going things with?
Well, I'm not supposed to.
But after this, you're just going to go back to the good old days of meeting your girlfriends and going out to...
It's going to be different.
Okay.
It's going to be different.
Okay. And you're going to be comfortable going back to church and hugging on all the church members and have your brothers and sisters. Okay, you're going to go back immediately to that, right? And now it's like, I'm not hugging that woman. Look. Okay. See, it's easy to turn things off. How do you turn it back on again? Mm-hmm. Right?
Because now everyone's going to look at the world different.
Yes, because we was told that you need to stay away from everyone. Everybody can be sick. Everybody can be this. And if you get too close to anybody, there's this one video, it was made as a joke, about this lady calling the authorities wanting to know when was the quarantine going to be over because she wanted to know, is it safe to let her husband back in the house or not? Okay, now, it's just a joke, but some people are that afraid, and some people have the right to be because if your husband or wife is a nurse, and they go to that hospital every day, and they're coming home, do you want to be hugging and kissing her when she comes through the door? Right. Or if your husband's a truck driver and he's been all over the country, and he said, "Honey, I'll be home tomorrow," you're like, "Oh my gosh, maybe I need to. I'm going to sanitize this guy before." Right. How many diseases and viruses is he going to be bringing in my house? Okay. We lost our faith and trust. That's the only thing society is built on, is something called faith and trust. And this is what helped American society to get. You trusted, you believed. Now we have lost a lot of that. Okay. We're now fearful. Yeah. Okay. So, because of this, a lot of people are buying guns. A lot of people are doing this and that. You walk to the grocery store. Now, I go to the grocery store. I'm not wearing no mask. No. I saw a guy today wearing a full gas mask at Walmart. He was wearing an entire gas mask. Okay. Now, how come he has on a gas mask and I don't have on nothing? Right. I've seen people wearing gloves, wearing this. I didn't have gloves on. Yeah. Okay. See, now, was the world a clean and sterile place before the coronavirus came along? Not really. There was a lot of stuff out there. Okay. But we was told, we believed it was okay, right? Now they're telling you got to wash your hands every hour, this and that and everything else. Okay, maybe we should have been doing this all along, all the time anyway. But we just didn't think about it.
We were taking everything for granted.
Right. And this is why they closed all the buffet restaurants. Because we knew the food was sitting out there. And we knew that, anybody can just reach their hand in there and get what they want. And everybody used the same utensils. And you just went through the Chinese. Oh, I love Chinese buffet. Well, used to. You think they're going to allow those restaurants to reopen? And and after that lady and that other lady was holding that fork, you mean I'm going to go and touch? Oh my gosh. And that food is just sitting out there. Oh my gosh, just the thought of food sitting out there in the open. Oh my gosh, just thinking about it. And I used to eat that. Oh my God, I'm surprised I'm still alive. How did I survive all these years eating that way, right? Now everything, you go now, even where I live, they sell tacos. Everything now has to be sealed and wrapped, and it was just laying out there before. Okay. I'm just lucky to still be here. Okay, I'm just lucky. I admit it. Okay, but that is over. Okay, so this is the new reality. So in our new reality, the world is going to be a lot, different. I'm not saying, for those who say Lynn talking crazy, I'm not saying that this is going to be the end and we're going to be this and that. But as I said, if you just think about a lot of things that you used to be able to do. Right. You used to be able just to pay your little ticket, and you got on that plane. And you know, the air on airplanes are very bad. Okay. Yeah. You know.
And like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we would never have imagined this was going to happen.
Right.
What we have to do today.
Oh, yes.
When you go to the store and you have to stand in line, you have to...
And now they put a big plastic plate between me and the cashier, and the cashier's wearing gloves. And
they control you, and they tell you when you can go in, to line, and,
And the problem is we're actually obeying that. For Americans. If you would have told us this 3-6 months ago, sir, you have to stay on that line. I would have just gave them that look and told them where to go, because I'm not that type of person. But today, I actually listen to them. And say, sir, you need to...
And it went very fast.
And how did we get to be so obedient in this country?
Yeah.
We got our little clip. We got clipped very, very quick. Okay.
There's more to come.
So, think about... So, some things are gone forever. Like, if you ever went on a cruise, you'll be able to tell your grandchildren. The cruise industry is over forever. We will never be able to get on those ships with 2,000 other people and just, there are so many cruise ships under quarantine all over the world right now. And even before this, over the last several years, there's been so many problems on cruise ships.
A lot of problems.
A lot of problems, because you got all those people packed together, everybody sharing everything, everybody's touching everything, and you get one sick person on a cruise ship, and oh my gosh.
Game over.
Okay, so these outbreaks of this or that been going on for cruise ships for the last several years anyway. But now, even if they was trying to give out free cruise ship tickets, I wouldn't want one. I wouldn't go on it. And I've been on a cruise before. I don't think I'd never go back to the other. And how are we going to go back to Walt Disney World, knowing that everybody is touching and we're getting in line and are they going to sanitize the roller coaster between?
Go back to Disney World, Lynn.
Okay, I hope so.
They will.
I hope so. Okay. Because a lot of this stuff, they're talking about changing. And maybe they will change the stuff where maybe on roller coasters, they will space people. Instead of us being sandwiched all together. A lot of those entertainment rides, when you get on there, they pack you in like you're sardines in a can. And maybe they are going to redesign the rides where you do have a little space between you and the next person. Because maybe it was never safe to put people like sardines on some of these rides in the first place. But we only been doing it since I grew up with those rides, right? Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So maybe there is life after, right?
There is. It's just going to be different.
It's just going to be different.
Yeah. And
we're just going to have to... The problem is, as I said the other day, the autopilot is turned off.
Right.
Okay.
We have to be more aware of our surroundings and,
okay,
be more careful.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Another thing that is changing. Before, like in Europe, they dropped all their borders. And you could go from one country to another country like you was just crossing county lines. Okay. And now in Europe, all the countries have went back to the good old days. You're not going between France and Germany anymore. Okay. You're not going between Spain and Portugal anymore. They are checking. Okay. And in this country, we never had that. When you drive from one state to another state, we've been doing that forever. And now in the state of Texas, they're now starting to check. They now, telling people if you're from this state or that state, they're actually putting up, checking who's crossing the lines now. Maybe years from now, we're not going to have the freedom that we used to have. Mm-hmm. And this is what happened. I live on the Mexican border. When I came down here, I came to the valley the first time in the early 80s. And people was crossing 2 or 3 times a day. It was so easy to cross. People was going there for lunch. They was going there for everything. And then with George W. Bush, they changed it into an international border. Maybe you could cross once a day or twice, but the line was long and it was a big hassle to cross. Today, the border's closed. Mm-hmm. Okay. The border have never been closed. The Texas-Mexican border has always been open. It have never been closed. And this is dramatically affecting the people who live, because most people, just like East and West Germany, most people, a lot of Spanish have family on both sides. Mm-hmm. And they have just put a Berlin Wall between their family. They got family on one side, family on the other side, and the days of crossing every weekend or going this or that, or I'm going to visit my mom, or I'm going to go here, or, and all the stores that was making money by their cross traffic, that was giant business. And you might say, who cares? I don't live on the Mexican border anyway. It's better if those people stay over there. What most people don't know is that most fruits and vegetables come from the other side. And same with the Canadian border. A lot of things that we get in America, America, Canada, and Mexico, you had so much trade going back and forth. It was like it was nothing. And now all the countries are separating themselves again. In the future, maybe we won't be able to just drive across America like we did in the good old days. You could just jump in your car, drive to California, or drive from one state to another state. Mm-hmm. Maybe that is going to be not as easy as it used to be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you never know. Things can change and just very fast.
Things can change like they used to. Yeah. And we have a little bit of time there, but I want to cover 1 or 2 more things. And you think it's bad for the people that live in the cities. This morning on the news, they was talking about, a lot of people hate the city, and they would love to live out there in the middle of the boondocks and this and that, and they have that big house there and whatever, and they live in that little tiny town. They was talking about, which a lot of people haven't realized yet, with this, virus coming across the country as a giant wave, even living in a city now, if you catch it, that hospital is full. Mm-hmm. But if you live an hour or 2 in the middle of nowhere, mm-hmm. and you are sick and you catch the virus, there is no hospital out there. And a lot of these little country hospitals, they only have an emergency room for 5 people or 8 right. people. They don't have no emergency equipment. And when there was a person who got really bad, they would put them on a helicopter and fly them to the big city. Yeah. They can call up the big city today, and the big city's going to say, we're kind of full over here. We're kind of busy. No, you're not sending a helicopter over here. We don't have room. We're kind of stacked up right now. You need to handle that problem yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So try and stay well.
What are people in little towns going to do?
Yeah, it's very
And
scary.
with these curfews and everything, before, if you had a problem or got sick, you could take your kid and rush him to the... And if you live 30, 40 miles an hour outside of town... Yeah. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. One last thing. We're getting near the end. I saved the best for last. You know that. Okay. And we got used in our little digital age If you need any help and assistance, you just press that 911 and the button goes off and this and that, and they show up. You have a heart attack and they're there in 6 minutes and whatever and this and that and whatever. What's going on in New York City and a lot of places now, the emergency services are overwhelmed. You call, even in places, big cities now, they're getting 3, 4, 5, 10 times the amount of calls that they're getting on a normal basis. And that's if you live in the city. If you don't live in the city, down here, if you live out in the middle of nowhere, people was complaining for a long time that they would call the sheriff department. It could take them an hour, 45 minutes to show up. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you call them now, will they even show up at all? Okay. And that's not a concern. You're going to say, well, I can handle my own self. But you can remember, the good people know about that, and the bad people know about that. So the bad people know, hey, if we do something, okay, it's not like she's going to call the sheriff department on us. Okay. They might come out here in an hour, 2 hours from now, but we'll be long gone by then. So if you live out there, you are truly on your own. These are the reason why people are looking into security, this and that and everything else. We got lackadaisical. We got to the point where we didn't have to worry about nothing. We didn't have to figure about anything. That the government will protect us. The government will do this. That. You know what I'm saying, don't you? Okay. We might have to depend on ourselves and depend on our family, and it might get a little scary sometimes. Does that sound a little scary? Okay. Because they are going to be busy. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this is going to be an adjustment, but we're talking about just this virus making one loop around the world. Okay. The reason why you're hearing all these different numbers, like in England today, the government of the UK was telling its citizens to prepare to be locked down for at least 6 months. Now, Trump is saying we're going to go back by June. Okay. Some school systems are canceling classes for the rest of the year. Okay. The city near where I just, live next to, they just extended closings for another 2 weeks. Okay. See, who do you believe? Is it going to be another month, another 2 weeks, 6 months? We don't know who's telling the truth. Yeah.
I have a senior who's probably not going to graduate.
Okay.
That's so sad.
We don't know. And this is what is the fear factor. So even if you do have toilet paper, this and that and everything else, do it need to last for 2 weeks? Do it need to last for a month? Do it need to last for 6 months? We have no idea because everybody's given us different numbers.
Yeah. And I think that's what, causes people to panic. I think that's what causes the anxiety is the unknown.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and what happens, and this is why, to let you know if this is going to come back around or not. China is reporting 0 cases. Okay. China haven't had a new case in over a week now. If this thing is going to make a second round loop around the world, the first place it hit will be the first place it will hit again. So everybody is keeping an eye on China. As long as China stay at 0, hopefully once this tidal wave goes around the world, they're saying over the next 2 weeks it's going to get bad. But as I said, I put some things on, Facebook. Some people didn't like it. Not everyone is going to get hit at the same time. Yeah. Some people are in front of others.
Right. It's a big wave.
It's a wave.
Yeah.
And not everyone get hit at the tidal wave at the same time.
They're like dominoes.
Right. They're like dominoes. So New York City is getting hit now. Where I live might get hit a month later. Where you live might be hit 4 weeks after that. Because we know the first place to get hit was New York City and California and Washington State.
Right?
Okay. West Virginia was the last place to have cases. West Virginia will be the last place that the wave will clear. Okay. And from the beginning to the end is probably going to be a 6 to 8 week period. Okay. So you can see where the wave is going. They predict that the wave in New York City is going to peak in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. That is the New York wave.
Yeah, we're still way behind.
That is not everywhere else in the country. And just because it peaks in New York City and 3-4 weeks from now and things are getting better, you can say, okay, everything is better all over the country. This country is 5,000 miles across. Okay. So just because something is happening one place doesn't mean it's happening somewhere else.
And we're at the very tip of Texas.
That's right. And this is what is throwing people off. Yeah. So you need to be aware of what's going on in your state and in certain states. Some places are having very high numbers in one city and the rest of the state, like in New Orleans. In Louisiana, New Orleans is doing super bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just came out yesterday, right?
Right. And several other places where there's pockets of infection. Okay. But that's not the entire state. It's just those pockets.
Mm-hmm. The hot spots.
The hot spots.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you need to know what's going on in your general area. Mm-hmm. And you can start seeing that number creeping up. That is what happened here where we live. We was at 0 cases until around 2 weeks ago. And then it was 1, then it was 2, then it was 3. Now we're up to 27. Okay. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's just going to get worse.
Okay.
You know,
now, we may not peak for a month from now.
Yeah.
Okay. This how it was in New York City at first. Okay. So just because, it's only 27 people, we don't have nothing to worry. But we don't know where we are. But we didn't have no cases 2 weeks ago. We was at the big 0. Yeah. And to go from 0 to 27, it could be 100 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you need to monitor your local situation. You need to do what you need to do. But you just need to keep the faith and know that we are going to make it through this. Mm-hmm. And they are going to eventually reopen the schools, this and that. Her daughter probably will eventually graduate. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
I'm ready to get out of high school. I'm ready to get out of high school.
I don't think she's going to graduate if the school's not open. Okay. And if this dragged too close to June, they could open the schools all summer, and run the schools. But I don't think, who knows what's going to happen. We're in unknown territory. We have never done nothing like this before. Yeah. You just have to be flexible. And young kids are very flexible. I remember when I was younger and had problems, I could figure things out very quickly. And now that I'm out of work and now I'm this and I'm trying to figure out what to do, it gives me a headache. Yeah, you get what I'm talking about? Because I have to dust off some of those brain cells upstairs. They haven't been used in years because I was running on autopilot for so many years. And now I got to figure things out? You mean? Oh my gosh. I need to put some WD-40 up there or something. But I need it. For you to me. I need help. Okay, but we're going to make it through. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what kind of job. Am I returning to my old job? Am I going to do a different job? See, I don't have any answers. And I thought I was going back to work in 2 weeks. Am I going back to work in 4 weeks? Or will it be 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 3 months? I don't have the slightest idea. How can I plan out my money? How can I do anything? Everything's a big question mark. And people are asking me questions. When are you going to be able to pay this bill? And what? I don't have a lot of answers because I don't know how long my money needs to last. I just know that I have to survive and I don't want to end up out in the street. And if I pay everybody and hit the big 0, right? That's the reason you got to do what you got to do. And the world might change. Things might be a little bit different, but we are going to figure this out, right?
Yes.
And we are going to make it through. And as long as you have that faith and you will be able to make it. So this is the purpose of this thing. we are not going to be able to go back to the way things are. A lot of those shopping malls, they will try to reopen, but as I was telling her, if one or two of the chains of the big anchor tenants don't survive, a lot of malls and things, they was on the verge of bankruptcy. They was, you walk through a lot of malls, they was already empty. Mm-hmm. You walk to the mall in the middle of the day, there was nobody in there.
Yeah.
Okay. You think they're going to reopen that thing?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to have to learn how to do things a different way. But we'll be able to tell our grandkids about how the world used to be before the virus came and knocked everything over. Okay. You will be able to laugh and joke about this 2-3 years from now. You will be saying to you and your friend, remember when that virus came? That was real. And you'll be laughing and joking and telling your friends. Okay. We're not laughing now, but we will be then. With that, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gave you some things to think about. I hope you got it, help you to make it through. We will try to do what we can to help you. And if we're going to try to get live as soon as we can, but as long as we're on lockdown, we can't be doing night meetings because they're giving out $1,000 tickets out here if they catch you running around in the darkness. Okay. And we're even supposed to be here now. We're supposed to be sheltering in place. I'm in one county, she in another county. So we're already in violation anyway. So don't let anybody know. We don't want that $1,000 ticket. But anyway, hopefully we'll see you again next week. And remember, we're here for you on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. With that, we're out of here.
And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. We had a great time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.